titled The Financial Diet. Everybody needs to go on a diet for a healthy life, or adopt some form of a diet which fulfills us and also nourishes our body. And similar to that, the financial diet is really a plan that is going to help us lead financially fulfilled life. So at least that is the intention. And I warmly welcome our community members who've joined us. Suman, Sonika, Lavina, Paramita has joined us as well, and Abby has joined us. Thank you so much, guys. And so for anybody who's watching this live on any of our social media platforms, the Online Money Book Club is a platform we started about 2.5 years ago. And at Women on Wealth, it's an initiative by Women on Wealth. So the women everywhere can get together and read books on finance. I think it's one of the simplest ways of introducing finance conversations in our lives. And when we hold a book, we don't need to even face the discomfort which many of us face initially to have a money conversation with other people, and that's also one of the reasons why women join our community, because they want to build that comfort, confidence in having money conversations. So a book is a good way to hold and really have this conversation with the book, with the author, and within yourself. So with that intention, we have been reading, and so it's been so successful. Many of us have read so many books in the book club. And then, just last week, we kickstarted this new book titled The Financial Diet. So, just looking back at some of the books we recently read, so I was, looking forward to this, because it takes us back to basics for anybody who has been doing their, working on their finances with Women on Wealth for some time. I think it helps us really go back to our basics. And for anybody who's really new to the community, I think this is a really good book to be on your side while you're working on your financial structures. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here. We started with chapter 1. So how many of you have been reading this interesting book, and how is it going for you? Chapter 1 of this book. So please do unmute yourself and share how has week 1 of reading this book has been for you. Go ahead, whoever would like to come in. Have you guys been reading this book? Okay, Renu. Anyone?
I have started.
Okay, Lavina has done. Okay, go ahead.
But I'm still on the introduction.
Okay.
But looks interesting for sure.
Okay. So you have begun. Thank you so much. What about others? Have you guys picked this book up already?
Sheetal just started the first introduction, which says, how to give shit about money. And it was very relatable. I don't know about others, but for me, because, as a new somebody who started working on her own and started getting her own money, I felt that, there was nobody to question me on my spending. And then you get into this credit card rut. Okay, you keep paying. So everything was very relatable, but haven't really gone on chapter 1, quite honestly. Okay. But I think looking at the names of the chapters, it looks pretty straightforward, budget, investing, action, etc., etc. So I hope it's going to be good.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I have myself been a little slow at picking up this book. And from the introduction, I went into reading this book with not very high expectations, considering I was like, oh, okay, so I've read a whole lot of books, and these topics are not new to me, and all of that thing. But as I read through the introduction, there were quite a few moments where I could go back and relate, and felt that that's a good reminder. One thing she talks about how she talks about this friend of hers, right, who gets straight A's, or who is an A student, but then at this point the person is in debt, in severe debt. Now, who would expect that from somebody who's done so well in life? Or at least we see that person, that this person is acing at work or acing in was an A student, so must be really good at managing and building her wealth as well, is the assumption. And how with just this one point that she highlights, it breaks that myth for us, right? That you don't have to be a great student, a great employee, and that doesn't guarantee that you would automatically be great with finance. So that was a really good reminder. So I highlighted that for myself. And just like
And
this,
then, and then
there were so many other points. So who would like to add? Please go ahead, guys.
yeah, Kalpana here, Shefali. So at the same point, what you were referring to, I think there was something that was mentioned about being, people judging her that no, she did not let her debt to come out. I think that was also, I think, very common thing as humans we have that, feeling that no people will judge, and then we try to cover up and then see how much ever we can avoid letting other people know what is not so going good in our life, especially in terms of finance. So I think that was also one of the important point that came across while reading that example of our story.
That's true. Yeah, and I think as you brought this point up, I experience a tinge of delight that we now have this space. At the same time, a little bit of a pain that for a lot of people who maybe have not discovered this space, or a similar space, may still not have found that a community or tribe where they can go and talk about money. So please do let your friends know that there's a safe space they can come and talk to. And in the book she also talks about a similar aspect, the community aspect, and that how important a good money community is, so that friends and family, if they are struggling with money or they want to do better in finance, and they can come and really talk, right? So yes, so these are some highlights from what I've been reading. Richa, warm welcome, everybody else. So anyone else would like to contribute to what we're discussing so far?
Hi, Shitu.
Hi.
So, yes, I completely resonate with, how the author talked to her friends about money, thinking like, is it going to be accepted or not? And that's exactly what happened when I first joined the book club, that I started talking about money to people over here. And then eventually with certain close friends, and this was a topic we'd never talked about before. But, there are a couple of friends with whom now I feel very comfortable talking about small things like insurance and like deposits and what investments. So, yes, it's good to have a community around to talk to people, talk about money. And also I loved how she said, there's no right time. You can't think that, just because you're in a hole you can't get out of it. It's always the right time. You need to take those steps, okay, unless otherwise you're still going to be stuck in that hole. It's going to get even bigger rather. So that is something that I loved. And the first chapter really, well, it made me feel a little guilty, because I keep telling myself that I need to make a budget and I don't. But it's given me a lot of, pointers how I can go about it. So in fact, I was just thinking last night, how am I going to set a budget? How am I going to calculate what I've been spending on? And of course, the app that has been mentioned could be a good starter. But just as she said, writing down things, it really brings into focus, whether it's an Excel sheet or, writing by hand, I think. So that is something I should start again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this book. I'm really hoping for some pointers. Thanks.
Got that. So thank you so much. You could always use the book club space. I know we were talking about accountability partners. Well, in my life, nothing happens in the absence of accountability partners. No accountability partner, I will go and do my own thing. So if you feel like you'd like to use this book and this space for you to be accountable towards your money or the actions you want to take, please feel free. Okay.
And I felt like the initial goals and the emergency fund, retirement funds that she was talking, it made me connect to that exercises that that whatever that wealth sheet that we have, the first sheet, of goal setting. So that gave me that thought that no, this were like so much related, like what we are doing now practically. And that was like one good thing. And I just wanted to share something else. I just forgot. Yeah, maybe I'll come back.
Okay, so thank you so much. Yeah. And one more thing I have highlighted in a different color, which means this really resonated with me, was the fact that she writes, your first step for anyone who's really new to finance, your first step can be something as simple as reading this book. And she goes on to say, the way I started small was just with talking about money. And this meant asking questions. And what resonated with me here is, when we, at least for me, when I think about getting into a conversation, I may always go in thinking that I need to know the subject. But getting into a conversation, engaging could also be by just being curious to learn about the subject, but being open to engage in a conversation, And sometimes I think this is also one of the blocks, that I will not talk because I don't know about it. Whereas maybe we should talk because we don't know about it. And a good way to begin is always by asking questions. So this was really important for me, a learning, because I could see that is what sometimes it can still come in the way. Okay, I need to know, otherwise there's no point getting into a conversation. But asking questions, hey, what is it all about? How does it help? Where can I learn more from about this topic? These are questions we can engage in, is one huge takeaway from the initial pages. So I wanted to put it out there.
In fact, Sheetal, today during the planned procrastination session where I go through Instagram, I learned that tip, because we were discussing it, I think 2 books ago. So anyway, so I was going through Ankur, what's his full name? I always forget, but you
Mariku.
got it. Yes. So I went to his page and he luckily spoke about 3 life skills which will help us grow. And the second one he mentioned was that whenever we are having a conversation, go with a mindset of questions, because the moment you are looking for answers, you are stuck on finding the solution that, possibly this is going to be the solution. Like saving money is the solution. But the point is, how do you save money? Is investment better than saving it in FD? So it's a life skill. So you're right. We tell our children that, no question is silly. But I don't know why when we grow up, we become hesitant. So I think we should just ask. And this community is a good place where we should just ask without feeling guilty or shy. Uh, it's okay, nobody will judge. We're all in the same boat, or we have been in the same boat somewhere, sometime.
Sorry, another thing that I found very interesting in that chapter was, she mentions that sometimes it's very difficult to cut down on spending because it's pretty much fixed. So you should try and look for, second means of earning, whether it is through investments or another job or some freelancing or whatever else you decide to do. So I found that also interesting. Got me thinking.
Thank you for sharing, guys. How many of you are in a practice of making a budget? Okay, Garima is. What about others?
I make budget.
Recently, after our first community session 2 years ago, that's the one thing. Uspe stick karna is the secondary thing. Budget bana leti hu main.
Okay, you make a budget. Okay, what about others? How many of you have maybe made a few times and did not do it and then go back to it, Okay, Sonika, you are somebody who religiously makes a budget.
Yes, like out of 12, 3 months I cannot stick to it because there are things like marriages, a medical emergency. But I'm proud that at least 8 to 9 months I'm stuck to it. Then whatever I've planned, at least go things. I do things that way, 90%. Not exactly 100%, but 90%.
Got it.
I only think, but I never do. like no consistency is the biggest problem. Like no, I think in the mind and then I put the Excel sheet and then 1 month, half a day, at least like 10 days it goes and then like totally gone. And then life takes over always. Like no, you get busy with something and then okay, वो बाद में करते हैं तो पता है तो कर लेते हैं. Then that goes on. That never happens and then you lose the track.
Mm, mm.
I'm reminded of habit stacking where we need to, set aside a time to do certain things or make it part of a process.
Okay. Who else is into making budgets? Or who else is there maybe who runs away from making a budget? Seema makes a budget, okay. Richa, she likes the intention of making a budget, but also at the same time finds herself running away from it. Okay, got this. I am also somebody who I know that our structure teaches us to make a budget. And so, I am not too strict with it, is what I see. I have now gone, I have topped it up with, forget about monthly budget. I'll make an annual budget, So making elaborate plans, but I also don't find myself sticking to the budget all the time. And anybody here who feels that budget is a restrictive word, that it restricts you from living your life the way you want?
Not at all. I think you can include the luxuries that you want to spend on. You just need to budget it.
Yeah.
I used to find it very restrictive, Sheetal. I don't know if you remember, but in the initial connects, I said I don't like it because it kind of scares me. But then I realized that, there is no harm. And I also used to call it luxury, Richa, like you mentioned, or the guilt trip. But then I realized I shouldn't feel guilty. If I want to go for a pair of jeans, or if I have to go for a facial, I might as well plan for it rather than shock myself later and then feel guilty that I spent over the limit. So now the BAU items are added. But this April, I was talking to Kaveri, Sheetal. I completely forgot. And I think you also did, because when I saw your message is when I realized that even I didn't plan for two things: AC and all that equipment repair, summers coming in. And the second thing I missed was the annual expenditure on the car insurance, because those are annual things. And there are small amounts. I just completely missed. But yeah, now I don't hate making budget. I don't love it, but I don't hate it at least.
My AC repair wasn't really a small amount, it came to like 3,500. So I was like, I should now budget for it. Make it a part of my annual. Yeah. So
But now don't feel the guilt, happy money. You've paid for it. The AC is giving you the air. So be glad about it.
Absolutely. At that point, we were reading Happy Money. Yes. I blessed everybody. Yeah. And yes, so at Women on Wealth, for many of you, because you are part of the community, you would know, and often we have spoken about this, that we say we don't call it a budget, exactly for the same reason that sometimes people relate to budget as limiting ourselves, but we call it a spending plan. And this is something I learned when I was in my Money Gym program, that we call it a spending plan. And then you plan for everything that you need to spend money on in the coming month, usually something we would do at the end of the month. And if we religiously do it, then after some time, we make a, something, at least 80% of the expenses kind of become common across the months, right? So that's what happens. And of course, plan for your enjoyments as well. So that allows for us to have a fulfilled experience of working on our money. So just wanted to share with everybody that if you don't like to call it a budget, then call it a spending plan and plan all your expenses.
And then some of us run away from planning.
Okay, you just need to get down to doing it, I think, and then look at the goodness of it. And then I think fall in love with the process later. Right? Have an accountability partner.
It's
getting
like
that
a marriage. You just eventually start to, you get into a relationship which is mutually, suitable. कि budget बनाना है, ये हो जाएगा. So that's it.
Awesome. So now let's move to chapter number 2, shall we? Are we ready to do some reading? And I would love to invite some of our new members to join in today who would like to volunteer to read the book. I will be sharing it on the screen. So, when I was reading this book, the use of profanity at one point was like, oh my God, why do they need to use these words? I'm not used to so many of such words. That's how I felt. Then I dropped the judgment. Go beyond it, Sheetal. Because the title of the new chapter is How to Be Your Money's Asshole Boss. Okay, yeah. Anyone who would like to volunteer among our many wonderful community members here who would like to read?
I would love to read.
Awesome, Sonika. So here we go. So for all the new members, we will read some pages of this book, and then we will pause and reflect and share our insights from whatever we've read. So please do make a note of whatever you'd like to come back and share, whatever your learnings are, okay? Thank you. Here we go, Sonika, over to you.
Waiting until you're rich to start caring about your money is like waiting until you're married to start dating.
I will have to read it twice. It's like that. Waiting until you're rich to start caring about your money is like waiting until you're married to start dating. So start dating already, guys. Okay.
When I was growing up, my family always had a very large, round wooden dining table. They had this table not because it was the most convenient way for 4 people to eat dinner. It definitely wasn't. But because it was the best table to host their famous poker parties. As a little kid, poker parties meant that I got up to stay up as late as I wanted, watching movies in my parents' bedroom, snacking on all the delicious finger foods my mom made for the guests. I would also usually wrangle a few bags of candy out of the deal if I promised to keep my little sister from leaving the bedroom. And as I got older, I was allowed to spend increasingly long stretches of time at the table with the grown ups, learning the game and making them laugh so as not to wear out my welcome. By the time I was 21 and coming home for holidays, I could sit at the table for an entire evening, sipping a vodka soda and playing poker with men more than twice my age. There was something incredibly special to me about being able to play a real game, to bet my $15 or so and spend the night listening to stories and telling a few of my own occasionally. In many ways, I measured my adulthood against my role in those poker games, and betting and potentially winning money was a big part of what made it feel thrilling. For the longest time, I looked at the idea of investment the way I looked at poker. It was, sorry, I just, it, it was largely the domain of older men who knew what they were doing in a way I did not. And it almost always ended in me losing the money. It really wasn't until I started TFD and began to learn the basics of investing that I started to believe having a diversified portfolio was something I could achieve. For example, that 401k letter from HR at my old job, I was promptly thrown in the trash. That actually meant something. If I would have taken advantage of it, I would have kept several thousand extra dollars right now, which would be accruing more money while it's set in that account. But I didn't know what the term 401k even meant, and I was too lazy to ask. I couldn't understand why I would spend an hour setting up an account so my money could sit somewhere instead of it being liquidated at a happy hour. It didn't make sense to me that investment could mean something slow and steady like that, or that it could be as simple as an hour with my HR person. Of course, investment is nothing like poker unless you do it like an enormous idiot. Point blank, investing is neither scary nor difficult. You have to know a few basic rules and get fluent in a few strategies. But it's something everyone can master, even with just few extra dollars a month. And we would never encourage you to become like those middle-aged dudes who suddenly become borderline hermits and spend 80 hours a week day trading in their underwear. But one of the most important parts of understanding investment is to start young. It's easy to feel like making your money work bullshit only applies to old people with a lot of money. But let me tell you, it very much does not. Being young is like having a secret cheat code to increasing your wealth because your money has a much longer time to grow. Giving yourself the right vocabulary, check our glossary at the back for tons of useful investment terms, and understanding the basic underlying principles of investing are half the battle. Most of us avoid thinking about our money in terms of investment because it feels confusing or unnecessarily complicated. We can often visualize investment as this extremely active process, something that needs to be a full time job to truly master. But there are hundreds of ways to go about it, and because many of them are passive, are simple to set up, and require very little amounts of money, an entire world opens up to you. You don't have to be some stock photo of a money manager holding stacks of dollars bills to invest. You can do it in a few hours by set by setting something up with your HR department. Hell, even paying down your debt is an investment in your financial future. It's important that you start looking at your money like it's the asshole boss. It shouldn't just sit there in some boring account doing nothing except your emergency fund, which is boring but absolutely necessary. Your money should be actively working and always doing something that is to your benefit and always reaching towards a goal on its own. The best part is that doing this doesn't even require a dangerous, risky, and complex strategy that's way too complicated for you to understand. And if I can figure it out, trust me, so can you. But you have to know where to start. One thing that is essential to understand when it comes to investment is that a dollar in your budget is not necessarily just a dollar. Yes, a dollar could be something you choose to spend on a couch or a shirt or coffee.
Yeah.
Mine is not very
Let me
clear.
have the opportunity because yes, and then we can continue.
But
Yeah.
sometimes we simply don't have the money to invest. Investing makes that $1 worth potentially much, much more. To not take advantage of, at the very least, a basic retirement account and the interest over time we stand to gain from it is to shoot ourselves in the foot or bank account. The total idiot guide to investing. Save an emergency fund of at least 3 months worth of living costs. Pay down your debt by creating a debt repayment schedule that minimizes interest and maximizes benefits. Compare the interest you are accruing on your debt to the return on investment for a dollar amount per month, accounting for taxes. Where will your dollar do more work? Open a retirement account, ideally with an employer match like a 400k, 401k. Make sure to maximize what your employer matches if you have an employer match available on your 401k. Explore other low risk investment options such as mutual funds and index funds. After you have done all this, you can consider individual stocks if you feel confident in your investing savvy and feel strongly about the companies you are investing in. This is what a lot of people think of when they visualize investing, but it's far from the only way, and it's not at all necessary to invest in individual stocks to be an investor. In fact, many people don't because it carries a much higher risk. I won't oversell it, and I promise you that you're going to be a millionaire by the time you're 50 if you put a penny in some account every day. But we all have the opportunity to accrue. We all have the opportunity to people with a real nest egg, a real retirement plan, and a real inheritance to pass down. And figuring out the value of an investment is a lot easier than you think. In fact, there is a simple, straightforward rule that allows you to quickly calculate compound interest, which allows you to visualize the long-term potential of an investment, see how much fees and charges might really amount over the years, and decide among different options. Master the rule of 72, and you'll quickly become a wizard at analyzing a lot of these tricky numbers. Rule of 72, a simple rule to determine how long an investment will take to double. Simply divide the number 72 by a compound annual interest rate. And remember, a rate of 5% would be expressed as 5, not as 0.05. Now, these are the basic things that you should understand, and they are huge in helping to get you on the road of investment. But when you are just getting started with making your money work, you'll probably need some help. You may already be able to speak some of the investing language, but in order to become fluent, you will need to find a financial Sherpa. When you're starting from zero, there are going to be so many things that you don't even know you don't know. And chances will be high that even simple terms will be outside your realm of knowledge. When I began, I didn't know what a stock was. To give some sense of where I was, finding someone you trust to help you learn the basics as well as give you some sage advice is of the utmost importance. Even with all the wonderful information available to you on old Google, if you don't know the questions you should be asking, it can be tough to make headway. Now, this Sherpa could be anyone from a professional money manager to a trustworthy member of your own family who has experience investing. Ideally, you want to go with at least some vague goals in mind and having done enough basic research so that you can start a conversation, which is the first step toward meeting those goals. One of the first financial Sherpas will often be your own HR person who is there to help you learn about the retirement accounts, which should be a first job when it comes to investing. Retirement accounts are one of the safest, easiest to start types of investments, requiring little involvement on your part, and whether you plan to have a complex portfolio beyond that or simply stop with your most basic 401k, a retirement account is a non-negotiable. And that goes double when your employer is matching your contribution. All of the basic types of retirement account like 401k, IRAs, or both or Roth IRAs are easily available and quite simple to set up. And depending on the account type, they can come with huge benefits. To explain everything, we need to know about navigating retirement accounts. I bought in the dream HR person you wish you had at your office to help you, Christian Robinson. Christian is the Senior Vice President of Emerging Investors at Fidelity, whose actual day job is helping young women get good with money and get over their fear of scary investing terms. Here is what she had to say about the often intimidating world of retirement accounts. Refer to the glossary here. Learn the difference between basic types of investments, from stocks and bonds to ETFs and index funds. Can you explain what an IRA and Roth IRA and how they are different from a 401k? Are there other retirement accounts people should know about? IRAs and Roth IRAs are both retirement savings accounts that you can open as individual. A 401k is a retirement savings account that is sponsored by your employer. The rules on how much you can contribute and how much is tax deductible or tax deferred varies by account type. For 401ks, the employer match allows employers to match contributions to the 401k up to a certain percentage. As a general rule, once you have contributed the full amount to your 401k that will allow you to receive the maximum employer match offered, you could consider supplementing that by opening an IRA or another tax advantage retirement savings vehicle. Although investing in a 401k does have advantages, which can include certain tax advantages, creditor protection, and possibly lower fees, one benefit to contributing to an IRA is that it gives you access to a wide range of investments, often more extensive than 401k, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. IRAs come in different varieties, such as traditional IRA and Roth IRAs. Although both allow you to set aside $5,500 each year, $6,500 if you're 50 or older, they have different advantages. In a traditional IRA, you make contributions with money. You may be able to deduct on your tax returns, and any earnings can potentially grow tax default until you withdraw them in retirement. With a Roth IRA, you make contributions with money you have already paid taxes on after tax, and your money may potentially grow tax-free with tax-free withdrawals in retirement, provided that certain conditions are met. There are also other retirement accounts people should be aware of. Spousal IRAs or stay-at-home spouses can help. Couples with one income earner get the same amount of tax advantage IRA savings opportunities as couples in which both earn income. There are certain qualifications and...
Sorry to interrupt, Sonika. We can pause here. Thank you so much. Okay. I just wanted to know if we have equivalent. I could look at the EPF, and I was trying to think if NPS could be the other one. All right. So from the first chapter, from the second chapter, investing, from what Sonika read beautifully for us, what are some new learning, different learning that you have gotten?
For me, it was a revision of money.
Okay.
Seriously, what Priyanka taught, everything really resonated me that way. From budgeting to set aside a small amount of investing, for having an emergency fund, plan your retirement. Everything comes from that. And Priyanka is that Sherpa for me. The whole Money Game program, stock investing.
Okay, got that.
So Sheetal, one of the things that I think, like, Sonika and everybody, I think, is feeling that, these are the basics that also, Priyanka and the community covers. And it is natural that we feel good to see that it is the basic. Everybody across the world is using the same thing. It's just that the name of the product could be different, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I saw a change in myself was when last year I was switching jobs. My new company gives you a very limited PF. So normally I think it's 12%. I'm 12%, right? The company, you can pay max, and the company has to equally pay up to whatever percentage. And in my case, they, by default in the package, they had a very small amount added as part of the PF, because as per some other law, the company can also give only a limited portion of the PF as well. It wasn't the maxed out version. And the change in me was, now when she's talking about retirement, I realized that I actually opted to max out my PF. And if 3 years, 4 years ago, I would have probably been happy, chalo, I'll get extra salary, PF mein mat dalo. I think that's a change that, I was able to focus and say, no, I want to max out my PF, because it is one thing for my retirement. I know I'm going to save, amongst other things. But I have started giving more weightage to my retirement saving than anything else. And that is one thing I think all women, if there are younger women on this session, must focus on. Even if you're not working, if you're doing anything from home, please start adding something for your retirement, because that is one thing women don't plan for. So that is very important. And the chapter, I think, just stamps it as well on the retirement side.
Yeah, you can easily get we may not put so much weightage in it just because it is far away, and so that's what happens. I was also looking at so EPF, PPF, these are one things, and I know that after money gym, and similarly the mindset, I think Garima, what she's talking about is a mindset, and it is only after, similarly, we would always want to have a bigger take home amount, right? And then that's where we would choose to, our choices will be such that whatever happens, let me take home more money, and that was the mindset for me as well. And it was only once I started to get financially educated and understood some of the things for tax saving also. I know there was one time when I opted for voluntary provident fund as well, and it really helped me save more and also helped me with my tax planning for that particular year. So that was good. So that shift in the mindset. So guys, if you're thinking about, okay, let me take home more money, as long as you have a plan of what you'll do with the more money that you take home. Otherwise, at least do the basic of doing as much retirement fund planning as possible. And another thing was, with regards to NPS, for example, it's also not, I think PPF is still more common, but NPS not so much, but even with PPF, after 15 years, you can withdraw. So that PPF, EPF, that accessibility that is there, that can come in the way of us growing our money. And in the true sense, NPS is the product that really sticks with us until retirement, and even then they have this rule that, okay, you can't take all your money, it's supposed to be a pension plan, so you better, a portion will get invested in annuity, and then so that you receive your monthly pension. So that way, guys, so the government is ensuring that we don't die poor, where we have some money coming in, so to really leverage all these tools that we have for retirement.
And as you continue, she also talks about, when we are young, we get very conscious about the freebies that we otherwise get, right? And there's no harm, in collecting that coupon, or, because at the end of the day, it's there for you to use and make most of. And I remember, Sheetal, when we, at least the batch that I was in, we talked about how to utilize credit card points. A lot of us just don't use it. So credit card is a glamorous thing, but we don't know how to use it for our own self. So I think we should just go ahead, use, all these freebies as well. Actually, she's going to talk about it as we continue, but don't hesitate. Nobody's going to, everybody does it. I mean.
Thanks so much. Okay, others, what are you getting from this chapter today? Please share.
Yeah, I think I resonated with Garima when she said about retirement and having more contribution towards PF and stuff like that from the CTC, whatever the package she was referring to. Even until I joined this community and money gym program, my thinking was like, no, I never. I mean, even when I was reading the introduction of this book also, having a relook at your career also, like, see how you can leverage your skills to earn more. So all these days, like almost like 2-3 years, I've been like feeling like, no, what is my purpose? Like, no, why should I earn? Like, no, my son got into higher studies, and then I felt like now there is no purpose. Like, no, I have a home to live, though it is not on my own name. Somehow I felt like I don't have a financial target, and then why should I pursue a new job, get paid more, and do something? I was almost at the verge of getting retired, and then never thought about. And then now, when I look at things after getting into this program, I see that I have zero retirement funds, and then I totally screwed up my whole of my finances all through my life. So now I realize that okay, now I have to take up the next level of job to build my retirement funds and be serious for my retirement funds, and then start earning more wherever and however it is. Like, I had the leverage, but then I'm not utilizing, thinking, what will I do with that money? Though I don't have, because I was like not aware not knowledgeable or not paying attention. Life was just going on, and then we just get dependent, and then okay, life goes on, and then we don't take him seriously. I think that is what happened with me. And then now I realize that very seriously that I've done a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Yes.
Thanks so much, Kalpana. I think these mistakes are what we come and celebrate, Celebrate these mistakes, yes. And for anybody here, the book has also a good reminder that engage with the HR of your company. And maybe for anybody who is new to talking about money, maybe a conversation with the HR, can you please explain the salary slip? I know I never did in the so many years of having worked, whatever's coming, where can I save more from? What about taxes and all of that? Never paid attention. So again, a good encouragement from the book is also that go talk to your HR, call them, ask them questions, help. Sometimes they're very keen in sharing their knowledge as well, So yeah.
And then I don't even use credit card because I'm like not good at if you don't pay, then that credit score will fall, and then all that additional whatever you have to pay. So I just don't use credit card at all. When Garima is saying, we should try to leverage if there are some cashbacks and stuff like that, points, credit points and all. But I always use the debit card only. So at least I feel that, okay, if I have money, then I will indulge or I will spend. If not, okay, I can just keep quiet. So there is no point of overspending. So somehow all through my life, I never used credit card.
I'll tell you the best credit card gift I got, right? So, other than the fact that you could pay back, I wasn't aware about this. So, my mom called me 3 weeks ago. There's a wedding in the family. So, she must have gone out to Fab India to shop. And then she calls me when he say, you have some 7,000 points in Fab India. You can shop worth 7,000. And that's when I realized that, you know what? I'm such a big fan. I never bothered to go and check if I have points. And then I told her, I said, you know what? Dare you use 1 point out of that 7,000? That is all mine. And that's how I realized that I shouldn't hesitate. And then 2 weekends ago I went to Fab. I checked. They said, "Ma'am, you can pick up anything that you want." So I was very happy. I didn't shop. That's a different thing. But I said, then I got greedy. I said, let me accumulate 10K tak ka kuch another. He said it won't elapse, so you can just keep accumulating. So that I think we just don't understand this point system. We become very we feel guilty about asking, what will the shopkeeper think? And I'd like
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
I was very happy this for the past 2 weeks with my 7,000 points in Fab India.
With this conversation, I really want to add something. Sometimes our self-image, in my case, my self-image comes in the way. Like I want to share an incident. I delayed the payment of my credit card by 2 days, and they charged me some 850 rupees as a late payment fee. So when I saw the statement, I was like, oh my god, 850. So I just thought to check on with the I work with a bank, and we have a the subsidiary company, the credit card company. So I just called in with the agent and I said, I have been charged. See, my net banking wasn't working and I want the refund. So he just earlier I thought was कि वो लोग क्या सोचेंगे मेरे बारे में. मैंने मतलब being an employee मैंने delay payment किया, and then now that I'm asking for a refund. But then I somehow मैंने कहा नहीं, it's a good amount, I should go for it, I should ask for it. And then I realized it took just 2 minutes. He placed a request and I got the money back in my credit card. So it was just my conversation, my self-image, which was coming in the way of not asking. And he said, ma'am, the SBI employees can get it. They have the opportunity to get it back. The delayed payment fees, you can get twice a year. You can get it back. And I wasn't even aware of it.
Oh,
I was like, wow, that's a good thing.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Acquiring. I know that when I was working with my previous company and I had a credit card with them, so annually, whatever the annual membership fee used to be, that used to get reimbursed. And so once a year, we had to just fill up the form. So that was a benefit I got. And yeah, I don't really go after the points so much. Like sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. It's like that. So maybe I could be more mindful. I know that, you know, there was one time when I bought a book, and because I'm so used to using Amazon that I just didn't bother to compare. I just didn't bother to go to Flipkart and check. Like I just blindly went Amazon, picked up the book. You know, like it didn't even occur to me that I could compare because I'm just so comfortable using Amazon. So and after I had ordered the book, and it was one of the books I think in the club, then members, she said that, oh, I picked it up from Flipkart and they were selling it at a lower price. So like that. And just recently I wanted to order some vegetables, and I was looking at some organic websites, and I came across this some fast and fresh.in or something. Okay. And I looked for a big basket and all of those, didn't get it. So I said, okay, let me explore, let me at least place an order and see whether it's good or not. It's for a small amount. So I ordered, and the service was pretty good. Fast and fresh.in, guys. So at least for Delhi NCR. And then as promised, they delivered the next day. I ordered green apples, and they were good, you know, because in the past when I ordered from Big Basket a few, I shopped twice from Big Basket, and the kiwis they sent were raw. I had to return, or I asked for a refund, you know, and I was really unhappy. So I don't like to buy from Big Basket because of that previous experience. I don't know how it is now, but then this Fast and Fresh, I gave it a shot, and they said the quality was good, you know, so I was happy. So yeah, so don't forget to compare, guys. That's what I'm going back to. Now, I think another takeaway and maybe an exercise I'd like to announce for everybody is check out the rule of 72, guys, for all your investments. Okay. I don't necessarily use the rule of 72. So I will go back and check.
Actually, what is that? Have you read it already? Because I read it for the,
Yeah, it's a common rule just to check in how much time will your money double. And the rule is, if you know what rate of return you're generating, for example, with PPF, the return is 7.1 at this point. Okay. So the rule of 72 says that divide 72 by, in case of PPF at this point, 7.1, the rate of return. So
divide the number to, okay.
72 divided by the rate of interest you're generating currently. So with PPF, in 10 years is when our money will double at the current rate of 7.1. So that's what it means. So whatever is, so 72 is the set number divided by whatever
the principal amount will double. PPF works on a cumulative basis, so may not be the right thing, but the very first PPF reduction will double in 10 years.
So whatever money you're investing, in how much time will it double? Yeah. So, yeah. So good exercise for everybody to try this weekend. So look at all your investments. And first you need, the information you need to have available is how much rate of return am I generating? Okay. And with whatever money you have invested, in how much time will it become double? A fun activity for you to do. So 72 is the numerator and divided by the rate of return you are generating. Okay, and then please share it with us in the community. We can have fun, some fun maybe. Okay, great. So I would also like to ask our members here who have joined us, Lavina, Seema, Lakshata, Sneha, Suman. What did you learn from today's reading and discussion? Please do share, guys. You can come on the screen and share. Practice getting into money conversations. Yeah, it's all practice, right? So anybody in the meantime, I'm going to check how much more. Of course, guys, please remember that this book again is by an American author. So the examples like the Roth IRA and 401k, these are American products that they have. But in many ways, we have similar products for us as well. So we can always look at the concept, what tools we can explore, what tools do we have, you know, the strategies used can be something that we take away. So if ever you feel that, oh, I'm not connecting because I don't know these products, they don't exist, then please look at the way of thinking. Okay, what can you learn about something similar in our context? Okay, so what I see is we are still left with a few more pages of the second chapter. Do you think it would be okay to pick up the third chapter on career? Shall we target the third chapter as well? I've not looked at
How big is third chapter? Do you know? Where is it?
Chapter 3.
Wait. Let us look at when chapter 4 starts. Page 97. So 30.
That's a lot actually.
Hmm.
I haven't read the first chapter. Let's keep it 2 chapters.
Okay. I am all right. So we are reading. So guys, chapter 1 catch up, and then chapter 2 we complete, and then we come back with to read chapter 3 together next week. Okay, and please keep reading and sharing in the book club whatever insights you're getting, whatever calculations you do. Please do keep sharing and reading. Okay, and sharing more. So that's it then. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. We complete here today, and we will meet you guys next week 6 p.m. Please, if you've enjoyed reading the books with us in the community, in the book club, you've been trying to, let's say, encourage your friends to also take charge of their money lives, but we don't know what they're dealing with. So maybe the book club is a good way for them to start engaging in the conversations. So you can always invite them. The link to have them join the book club on Telegram is in the group description, or you can reach out in the group and we will support. Okay, so have a good time, guys. Lots of love. Take care. Keep counting your money. Don't forget that. Bye-bye.
Bye.